Good to see you again, sir. We've got a seat for you right here. Arthur, viewing camp from right beside where the coaches were, out there on the field, clocking his Atlanta Falcons. And now Arthur joins the midday show with Rick and John. Mr. Blank, first of all, thank you for spending some time with us. We really appreciate it. I just want to know, we ask everybody who comes off the football field, cameramen, reporters, writers, everybody, who did you like? What did you see? Who popped out to you, Arthur Blank?
The coach. I mean, I love the energy of the coaching staff, and it's transmitted to the players, and I love the energy of the players. And it's, I've been doing this for 15 years, and I would say by far this is the fastest camp I've ever seen. The players, just the mentality of it, and doesn't mean other camps weren't good, but I think that the Dan in his second year feels good about where he is. He's got the roster where he wants it to be. He's had a heavy hand in molding it in the last 2 years, working with Thomas and Scott, and you just see that transmitted during training camp and during all the activities. So it's great to see that. Obviously, we got another few weeks to go and preseason, and then we get into regular season. So, we feel good about where we are, but probably there are 31 other owners who probably say the same thing to you right now.
Arthur Blank, our guest on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game. Mr. Blank, we seem like December just passed, and all of a sudden it's July and camp's here. What do you do? Is there an off season for Arthur Blank?
No, there isn't. There isn't for the team, and there isn't for me for not only for this business, but all our other business, whether it be the soccer or our PGA business or our foundation or our guest ranch in Montana, whatever it may be. So I'm kind of a year-round deal. But really, the Atlanta Falcons are too today. The NFL is structured that right after the Super Bowl, you begin to think about free agency, you begin to think about the draft, or you're working on the draft already, but it's just a continual flow today, and you get into the combine, and then you get into all the process they have to go through to evaluate the roster, and so there really is not an off-season per se. The coaches work long hours. Players get some time off, and they need it. They need to get their bodies rested, need to get their minds rested, and need to regenerate themselves, and they use that time to do it. But for the coaching staff and the administrative staff, there really isn't an off season.
You know that voice, Arthur Blank, owner of our Falcons, joining the midday show with Rick and John. Arthur, I just want to go back one more time to viewing you out there watching the team, and we see you come down on the field at the end of games.
Right.
You're obviously a major football fan and NFL fan, as I am, as John Michaels are. Take me back. Were you a huge NFL fan and you always dreamed of owning a team? And is NFL football your favorite thing outside of family on planet Earth?
If our soccer fans weren't listening, I would say yes. And if I was talking to soccer fans, I would say no. But, I would say it is. I mean, I played football in high school. I've always loved the game. And when I moved to Atlanta, I became a season ticket holder. And when I retired from Home Depot in 2002, we never had back-to-back winning seasons, as you all know. I had an opportunity, or retired in 2001, and had an opportunity in 2002 to buy the team, and my attitude was either I could sit here for the next 30 years of my life and complain about it, or actually try to buy it and fix it. So I was able to work out a deal with the Smith family, and I think I represented the kind of owner that their dad would have wanted, and he had passed away then, and the family wanted at that point. So it was a great opportunity for me. I love to get back to Atlanta. I love to compete. I love to be part of this. I love to be part of anything giving back to our community and to our fans, and seeing our fans happy, not only with the product on the field, but what we're doing off the field as well.
Awesome.
Part of competition is building a state-of-the-art facility, which is currently under construction, MercedesBenz Stadium. I was lucky enough to take a tour back in February. It looks like it's going to be an awesome structure if I could visualize. What's the latest on the project? Is it on time? Is the timeline going how you thought?
Well, we're shooting for June now, June of 17, and it is on schedule. We have all the concrete work is done. About half the steel work is finished. We'll be installing seats shortly. So it's moving ahead on our program. It's going to be a unique building in the United States, not only in terms of its architectural design and in terms of the LEED certification, which is the environmental certification. It'll be the first and probably the last platinum certification that'll ever be given to a sports facility in the United States. So we're very proud of that. I know Atlanta's proud of that as well. Equally, we're working now on staffing the building. So we need to make certain that the fan experience inside the building, they'll be awed by the architecture, awed by the Halo scoreboard, awed by the roof, and awed by a variety of things. We've got to make sure that their fan experience inside they walk out with the same kind of feeling, that they say the feeling inside, the way I was touched during the concessions, and whether it be operations or security or whatever it may be, that they walk out saying this is a place that represents my home. People here care about me in every sense of the word. They appreciate me being here. They're finding ways to say thank you in every single way they can. And that's what we have to do. So, and that's what really brings the fans back all the time. We're going to have a competitive team. We're going to have a really good team. But we can't necessarily assume that. We got to assume that we can control what we can control, and there's no other 11 men across the board ball fighting for it when we're trying to talk about fan experience. We control that ourselves.
One of the great businessmen in American history, Arthur Blank, joining the Midday Show with Rick and John. I want to ask you a question about Mercedes-Benz Stadium and the low cost of concessions.
Right.
What was the genesis of that?
Well, we need to find as many ways as we can to make this facility fan-friendly and fan-first, and ways to say thank you to our fans. And this is just one. I know that, many years ago with a young family, when I would go to a stadium and arena, I would try to, figure out, well, we better eat before, better eat later. We can afford a Coke, maybe some peanuts and popcorn. That's about it, kids, and, we'll eat when we get out of here. And it always bothered me that people felt captive in the stadium, and they felt like, okay, they got me in here, and now I have to spend X and X and X and X 2 to 3 times what I spend across the street at a fast food place or whatever it may be to get the same product. And I didn't want to have that situation. So we said we're going to make sure that this is a good example of how we're going to tell the fans, thank you for being here. We appreciate your support. We want you to bring your family. We don't want you to have to plan your meals and drinks around when you'll be in the stadium. We want you to do it in the stadium. And there'll be a variety of things, whether it be parking or operations, and a whole variety of ways that we can make sure that the building is as fan-friendly as we can possibly make it. We need to find every possible way to say thank you and tip our hats to the men and women and children that'll see us in this stadium, not just for NFL games, soccer games, but all the other events, concerts, Super Bowl, college championships, SEC championships, whatever it may be.
Arthur Blank, our guest on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game. You keep mentioning the soccer club, obviously. That was a big part of putting this building together, is to get soccer here. Why was that important to you?
Well, I think soccer is a great sport. I never played it. When I was growing up, you'd see it at 3 o'clock in the morning on your TV, and that's about the only time you'd see it because I'm fairly old now. So it's a very long time ago. Now it's Major League Soccer has done a phenomenal job. We've been looking at it for 15 years. It didn't make sense before because we didn't have a stadium in our works, and we weren't going to build a soccer-specific stadium. And we liked having a soccer stadium that was somewhere downtown. That's the urban traffic that we're looking for. And so when we designed Mercedes-Benz Stadium, it cost us a lot of money to do it, but we made it in every sense of the word feel like when we're playing soccer in there, it'll have the intimacy of a soccer stadium. And so the seats will move back. There'll be proper draping. It'll feel like a soccer stadium. There'll be no NFL lines on it. There'll be soccer lines on it. So it was important, I think, to do that, and it represents a great sport worldwide. 209 countries play it worldwide. It is a worldwide game. It's an easy game to play, not very costly, and both for boys and girls and men and women, I think. And so we're proud to be connected to the community in that way, and the soccer fans have responded beautifully. We're well over 20,000 season tickets currently. Feel real good about our reserve base coming up. We continue to sell. We haven't even named our head coach yet. We continue to recruit players. Our leadership in the soccer franchise is as good as it is on the Falcon franchise. So we feel good about where we are with it. And Major League Soccer, as a worldwide soccer, 15 years ago was number 22 ranked in the world. It's now number 7. So MLS in the United States has grown significantly as well.
That's awesome. Arthur Blank joining us here on the Midday Show with Rick and John. We're live from Flowery Branch, just outside Falcons headquarters. They just wrapped up practice. Dwight Freeney reporting with the team today. The news came down yesterday that he was signed. We're excited about that. Thomas Dimitrov said this morning that this isn't as much about mentoring as we need to improve the pass rush. Your thoughts on Freeney?
Well, I think that's exactly right. I think what Thomas said is correct. He wasn't brought in as a coach. He was brought in as a player. In 11 games last year for Arizona, he had eight sacks. He had 3 forced fumbles. So, he's still playing at a very, very high level. He probably is going to be in the Hall of Fame 5 years, 6 years from now. He has to not be playing for 5 years to qualify. We think he's got a lot left in the tank. We think he'll produce for us. But beyond producing for us, I think he will not be a coach, but actually by his actions be a coach. I think the other young players that we have in those positions will see the way he works, the way he carries himself, see the kind of performance, the techniques he uses. So I think you can't help but learn from that. And I think our young fellows will learn from that. But he wasn't brought in as a coach.
Mr. Blank, to rewind back, during the offseason, getting towards the draft, there were some quotes from you that said you wanted 3 starters out of the draft. Was this something that you sat down with Thomas and all this front office staff and said, hey, we've got to get a certain type of player here?
Well, I would love to see, of the draft, I'd love to see all of our draft players start. I think the goal then, and starting in the NFL today is a different word because there's such rotation today. It's really of the 46 that are playing on, they're all kind of starters on Sunday, and so all but a handful of them. I mean, they all have significant rotational duties, and not only on offense, defense, but special teams where 25% of the snaps take place. So, I mean, I expect 3-4 of these guys, and I expected it during the draft, and I expected based on every practice, and I've been here for every practice since camp opened up. I think you'll see that, and I see the kind of production we're looking for. Everything we had hoped for with these draft picks, I think, is developing.
It's awesome. Arthur Blank joining us, the Midday Show with Rick and John here at Falcons training camp. 21 turnovers last year from Matt Ryan when you combine the interceptions and the fumbles lost. What do you, Arthur Blank, want from Matt Ryan this year?
Well, I think what Matt would want from himself this year, and I would just reiterate, I think he would want more consistency, certainly the production, over 65% passes completed, over 4,000 yards. I think all of that was there. He would want the kind of consistency and not have the turnovers. Now, some of the turnovers are not, you can, as a football person, you spend a lot of time looking at these things. Is it always the quarterback's fault? Is it because the receiver didn't run the right route or whatever it may be? So there's a lot of things involved. I think there was some bad judgments last year by Matt. I think Matt would say that as well. So I think that we were looking for a high level of consistency, reduction in turnovers, and the same level of performance in terms of percentage completions, yards, hopefully a greater percentage of touchdowns as well.
Mr. Blank,
Matt's worked hard this offseason, very hard.
Last thing before we let you go, anything special planned at the Georgia Dome? Is this being the last season there?
We'll have a variety of things there. I mean, it's been a great building for Atlanta, for us, for a lot of years. The implosion of it will be special in March of next year. All my children want to have hands on the plunger when it goes down and blow it up. But it's been a great part of the history of Atlanta, really, and not just our franchise, but many events. And I think the new stadium will be special. And I think what we'll do with the Georgia Dome, that'll be converted into our green lot, what's called the Home Depot backyard, and that lot, which will extend over to the arcades and Falcons Landing and connected eventually to Centennial Park, will really accommodate tremendous community activity. We want to make sure beyond the 50-odd games that we have a year between the Falcons, soccer, et cetera, that area is active with all kinds of things, all kinds of community activities that will make it an important part of Atlanta. Just like Piedmont Park, going a little further is important in Midtown. We want that whole area across, starting with Falcons Landing, Centennial Park, and over to the Home Depot backyard to be critical.
This man needs a statue. I'm sure you all agree.
Well,
Arthur Blank, he's so incredible for the state of Georgia, the city of Atlanta. I just have one more question for you, Arthur. What does it catch in the NFL?
What does it catch in the NFL? It's
what does it catch, Arthur?
Question. Yeah. Well, leave that to the referees. It's a very good. I actually thought they were going to come up with a little tighter definition this year, but our team president, CEO Rich McKay, chairs the competition committee for the league, and after hours and days really of work, they haven't really changed that rule a whole lot, and so it'll give you guys something to talk about.
It sure will.
The media needs something to talk about. It's got so. It's just a hard definition. I understand that. There is some confusion over it.
Mr. Blank, really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much
for your year-round
us.
support. We love 92.9. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. It is our pleasure. The great Arthur Blank. Give him a round of applause.